Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Agro Analysis. This is for Agro46, Dosser versus Morbid. Joining me today, as always, is Kane. Kane, how are we today?
I'm absolutely fantastic. Completely stoked for the fights up and coming. We had a little bit of a delay, unfortunately, due to an absolutely terrible bug that plagued UFC 4 for a couple of days, but it's been fixed. The card's back on. We've got a fantastic lineup, and topping that bill is a unification for the lightweight PlayStation Championship between Morbid Mad Lad and Dosser. It's going to be a fantastic fight.
Now, Kane, the first thing that we have to mention is the grappling prowess that Morbid brings to the octagon. Of course, him and Dosser shared the cage once before, and in that fight, it ended in a submission. You can see Morbid searching for the clinch entries, gets it to the cage. What do you make of his approach to this so early in this fight?
This is something that we've seen him do a lot. He's very open about his game. We all know what Dosser's about. Sorry, not Dosser. We all know what Morbid's about. We all know what he does, and we all know what he likes to do. He's a grappler at heart. You know, he's going to strike a little bit. Maybe not so much in this fight, but he has shown a little bit of grappling in his previous fights. But he is primarily a grappler. He likes to get you down. He likes to really tire you out. We see it in this fight so many times. That continuous clinch and takedown threat from Morbid.
Definitely Morbid Nurmagomedov at certain points in this fight with Dosser. In this one, he did actually steal the belt from the former champion. As you saw at the beginning of this clip, he did eat the uppercut on the exit of one of those clinch entries, something that is kind of a concern, right? The defense of Morbid isn't there at times. He doesn't appear to be cognizant of it when he's exiting the pocket, something that we saw with Charles Oliveira and Michael Chandler, right? You exit the pocket with your hands down, you're going to eat a shot forward. But like Kane mentioned, always gets it back to the mat. And you can see here, he doesn't deny every transition from Dosser, but he does enough work and is dominant enough to really just get a ton of control time in these fights. Now, Kane, of course, the next clip that we have on tap from Morbid is one in the Stand and Bang tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that Morbid doesn't like to do, strike. That's what he had to do and was forced to do in this Stand and Bang tournament just on the Saturday gone. What we've taken a look at here is a little bit of success that Morbid had. And what me and Bane was talking about previously off camera was Morbid is really good and his striking looks good when he's against the cage. Sorry, when he's got his opponent against the cage, when he's pushing them back. Apart from there, where he threw the obvious kick and got knocked down. But this segment here, he throws the overhand, he blocks the uppercut perfectly, and then he hits him with the uppercut just while Ned's against the cage. And then he follows up, carries on with the pressure. Ned has a fantastic survivability, but Morbid throws a few more shots just to counter him. It was a fantastic display at that time for something that we don't really see a lot from Morbid.
And, personally, my biggest takeaway from that is Ned was on the ropes at the end of that round, getting touched up, head was blinking. The biggest thing that I would suggest to Morbid is keeping the shots tight, right? The reason that Ned was knocked down at the beginning was a lead hook. It was a check left on the chin, perfectly placed. The second knockdown came because of an uppercut. Very tight shots on the inside. Jumping front kicks, big overhands aren't shots that you really want to throw when you have a guy hurt. Blood in the water, a shark isn't going to leap 50 feet out of the water. He's going to, attack and be linear in the movements and keep it very composed. Now, Kane, talking about tight shots, in that Stand and Bang tournament against Ned, didn't really go Morbid's way at the end of the day.
Yeah, unfortunately, we see Morbid get caught with a hook, and then Ned just applies fantastic pressure, mixes it up to the body. Unfortunately, Morbid did get finished, and we've not seen that quite a lot. He does like to go out on his shield, but he's lost a few decisions. He's not really been finished all that much. A few controversial decisions. But because he's not so comfortable with the striking, he has these glaring openings that a good striker, such as Dosser and such as Ned, will be able to capitalize on. And in the fight on this Saturday, there'll be ground shots, there'll be follow-up. So as soon as Morbid gets knocked down, Dosser can capitalize on that.
And that's something that we've seen Dosser do in a clip that we will definitely get to later. But of course, within this one, it's just kind of, that defensive inability in certain positions where he doesn't really seem to know where to block or what to do. We talked about the distance management. Morbid staying in the pocket and that phone booth way too long, at least in my opinion. Now, Kane, we've discussed Morbid and what he brings to the table. It's time to flip the coin and look at his opponent, Dosser, the former champion. They met before, and the fight was incredibly spectacular.
Absolutely. A one-sided display in terms of the grappling side, but if you look at the striking as we see at the starting exchange, Morbid throws a leg kick, misses, and Dosser just finds the perfect way to capitalise and then uses that pushback sort of to gain beautiful space, follows up again. See what we see Dosser do a lot beautifully is enter in, throw a couple of strikes, see what he can do, and then he backs himself out. We see there he lands a beautiful takedown defense on Morbid, and we saw the clinch. Dosser can do a lot, but the issue is he is susceptible to a takedown, and if you can get him down, we've seen him being being grounded for some time. For example, this fight. So it's all down to Dosser to implement that game, push him back, use things up the middle like teeps, front kicks, some knees, even a flying knee. Anything he can do to deteriorate Morbid from getting in that takedown.
And that's exactly the situation. You see Morbid going for the vintage standing 18, gets caught in the break as we saw earlier, and then the eventual takedown does ground the former champion. But you have to look, there were many opportunities for Dosser to circle and get back to the center of the octagon. Instead, he remained a little bit glued to that black line, which allowed Morbid to pressure very easily. I think that Dosser in this rematch for the unification needs to be able to pressure Morbid from the center as opposed to strike at distance, because with that takedown threat and Dosser's somewhat suspect takedown defense at times, it's great. It's great in some scenarios, but in other scenarios, you look at it and you go, how did he not block that? You know, I think being at the center of the octagon is what is crucial for him. Talking about distance management and commanding the center of the octagon, one notable fight that stands out in which Dosser does so is the fight against Aziz.
Absolutely. We're going to take a look at this clip here, the finishing sequence in that Aziz fight, in that Dosser Aziz fight, and this was for the interim 155 title. We see that flying knee right up the middle there from Dosser, and the straight followed with the beautiful jab and then the overhand. And look at the pressure, non-stop forward, throws a lot of strikes to confuse Aziz. Doesn't keep things simple, but gets rocked himself. And this is another thing that we see from Dosser is his survivability. He can take a shot, and as soon as he takes it, you see him fire back. He doesn't move back. He doesn't let himself lose any ground.
And talking about no lost ground, right? You can see him dipping back behind the black line, but circling out effectively and moving more to the center of the octagon than staying behind that black line. And mixing in those body knees is going to be so crucial against a guy like Morbid, who's going to try to shoot and going to try to find entries. If you can crack that midsection with the end of your knee, it's going to really deter him from doing so. And you can see here Dosser just biding time. He's got the stamina advantage. He's got the head health advantage. And it would seem like he's got the hand advantage big too. And look at the finishing instinct that he has here, an absolute shark in a water filled with blood. Aziz not up to the task on that night. Maybe we'll see this fight get run back because it truly was a great one, but man, Dosser improved so much in many different aspects, and I think a lot of people think that Dosser's just a boxer, right? All he brings is hands, and that's something that he himself kind of pushes the narrative on, but within that Aziz fight, we really got to see him unfold a lot more of a striking arsenal. The elbows, the jumping knees, the knees up to the midsection, Kane. I think what we're going to see Dosser is a much more sophisticated striker in all areas of the body.
Absolutely. And what we'll see a little bit more from Morbid is the clinch. It's undeniable at this point. We've seen him work into it in his game so frequently and so often, but I really want to see him mix up with a little bit of striking for the 1-2, maybe for the clinch, and to counteract Dosser's game. I don't want to give out any sort of industry secrets here, but to offer a little bit of sort of advice is the leg kicks for Morbid. They're going to work if you can get Dosser to buy it on a jab or even a straight and then come down with a leg kick that's going to do some big damage on this way. So it's all down to Saturday. Who brings the best game plan? Who is the best versions of themselves? We'll find out in the rematch between Dosser and Morbid for the unification of the PlayStation 155 title.
I've been Bane.
I am Kane.
And we'll see you Saturday night.